So that was amazing. Um, I really appreciate a series that knows what it's doing and has an end date in mind, but I'm going to be heartbroken when it finishes. That said, this is not like a reaction video. We're not doing that. It does not interest me. Saga is here because that's one of the influences that they mention for the series. We're going to be reading that. I'm going to be picking up Perdido Street Station soon from the library. But the real kind of big project in this video, we will talk a little bit more about when we get to season 1, episode 8, because I'm going to be rewatching on the Midstcore website. I'm signing up to get the appendices and everything. So yeah, episode 8. We'll talk about it then. I love that it opens with "This is how an idea becomes real," because it is a very lovely sentiment amidst the like explicitness of the birth, which is actually not as explicit as I remember it. I have read this before. Once, I think a few years after it came out. I really loved it at the time. We'll see now. I was a lot more into. I think I was still a bit of an edgelord teen, so it was like swearing and explicit drawings, yay. But if you wonder what this is doing in a video called Midstcore, it's because this was mentioned as one of the inspirations, I think, in the season 1 roundtable. And so, absolutely, they're both science fantasy. I mean, Midst has always given me a sense of like outer space, even though it does a lot of like underwater imagery. So I'm intrigued to see where if I can find any strands of DNA, shall we say. Hey, I completely forgot that we were going away, and so there was packing and everything to do. This is such a little cozy setup in the corner that I have here. It's our first day here, so I'm just gonna start the rewatch, relax. I want to point out though, one of the extras that we get is art, and is that not just gorgeous? Like the colors. This is by Lisa Frick, which is at Liz with two Z's art. I absolutely love having signed up to Midstcore. The appendixes, they're amazing. I love how much thought has been put into them. The art, it's such a wonderful little glimpse into the world. But I admit I am particularly excited to get to box. We did find 2 fabric shops here on Brick Lane, but unfortunately neither of them had the dusty pink that I'm looking for. Good afternoon. I have not caught up on the latest episode of Midst. London was too hectic, and now I am recuperating, I say, as if I'm not about to walk to the library. I am gonna rethink how I go about that, talking about it, because there was like a preview clip that was uploaded to the Tumblr, and there wasn't any spoilers, and I scrolled right past it. But I think I would like personally to experience it organically, to not like see any clips or any of the art beforehand. So I'm not going to do what I did before, I don't think, with the first episode. But I don't really know what the alternative is. I finished the first volume of Saga, which I gave 5 stars and I originally gave 4. And I need to think about that. I might split the difference. There are parts where I'm reading it and I'm like, I can see an influence. I don't know if that's specifically what third person took as influence, but I can't also quite pinpoint what those are myself. Anyway, like I said, Perdido Street Station has come in at the library. I think it's the first in a trilogy. This was also one of the inspirations that they cited, I think, in the first Midst Roundtable. I think it was specifically this book, and then the rest of the trilogy kind of mentioned. The intention is to read all 3 of them, but we will see. Okay, so we've got it. It is a lot more than I thought it was. So as you can see, I have fallen really behind. 4 episodes are out on YouTube right now. I know what I said last time about not giving things away, but it is a visual medium and it's hard not to include visuals in it. I'm actually watching these on YouTube, however, because they have subtitles and Midstcore is great for a lot of things. The what's the word, appendixes, but they don't have subtitles. So the good news is I am getting some swaths in. Unfortunately, I cannot go and get them myself. When I try and walk, I feel like I'm horizontal, which is also why I haven't managed to catch up on last week's episode, which is so frustrating to me. I saw a comment, I was trying to avoid spoilers, but it was along the lines of, I want to gush and analyse, and I can't because I need to process it, and that is the best possible thing I could hear, and I can't watch it right now because my brain is on fire. I did really like episodes 2 and 3. I like the pacing. I like that we went back to Zila, and I really like the art direction, I guess, for episode 3. The choice to focus on that character and the choice to not show another. I thought that was perfect. So this arrived yesterday. It is 2 swatches. One is a linen, the square is linen, and the rectangle is cotton. I'm going to get back to Saga either today or tomorrow. I am a little bit nervous. I'm still not entirely there in my head. I binged Spy Family last week and I don't remember it. But I'm a little bit more concerned about Perdido Street Station now. I haven't started it. I have extended my loan. I have found out that there are bug people in it and one spider, and that is very concerning. In brighter news, however, we know what we're doing. This linen is honeysuckle pink linen, and Mum, being the more experienced of us, immediately knew that this was going to be too heavy for a drape. And so we're going to be using the Pink Sunrise Crossweave Cotton, hopefully. I am nervous about getting the fabric before we do the mock-up. And we do have some fabric set aside for it, and it is lovely and shiny, and I am... See, the original inspiration for that came from Zuhair Murad, I think. And that was also a shiny fabric, which is lovely and fits more with I would say the upper trust. By this point, I'm pretty sure you know that I'm taking my cues from Gala, but yeah, shiny fabric just makes me a bit nervous in a more everyday setting because I am not a person who goes to galas. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, we know what we're doing, and that is a comfort. So the hype got a little bit intimidating. Apologies for my absence. I have not been well. Things are going to still be a wee bit spotty, unfortunately, at least until the funeral. Um, but yes, we are making progress. I have finished a few more sagas, and I don't know why, but I keep kind of latching on to like Sela for it. I'm not trying to guess at what inspired what, but I don't know. It's just I can't help but feel because this is so family focused that it kind of feels like it most kind of closely hews to her kind of relationships, shall we say. But yes, I'm gonna go and watch it now. Next week though, next week you're definitely seeing what all that linen and cotton was about. We have not ordered either of those fabrics, but you will see what it's about. So I still haven't caught up properly, but one thing that really got me in episode 4, there had been like a comment on Tumblr, and I can't remember by who. If I find the link, I'll share it. Of like, it's amazing how much the trust just eats its children. And I talked a bit before about Saga, and the thing that kind of really struck out at me was uh, family and Hazel and yeah, and Zila, and that's still the case. But I'm thinking more now of like Sophie, for reasons I'm not going to get into because heavy content warnings for that. Um, yeah, but like the way the world permits and enables these terrible things. Years and years ago, I read How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin, and I really liked The City We Became, or whatever the short story that preceded it was called. I never did get around to reading the book itself. You know how distracted and how bad at time management I am. But I think it's probably going to be hard to get back to it because in terms of like City as living thing, City as character, City as presence, this is just. So it is return day for Powdered of Street Station, which is fine. I haven't finished it. I haven't had as much time as I thought I would. I don't really. I haven't been hunting for ties the way that I did with Saga. For the better, I would say. I guess if I kind of pushed it, there is a kind of ramshackleness, I guess. Very different kind, but a ramshackleness that could tie to Midst. And just in the sheer variety of physical types of characters, a little bit reminiscent of the sheer variety of those in the Un. But it is mostly it wasn't good to do that with Saga, although I have once again kind of because I kept talking about the kids, and I'm like, all these situations with the kids, and for Hazel it was family, and I still see that, but I'm starting to think maybe it's not just Sela, maybe it's that I see other characters' childhoods kind of reflected in what those two are going through. They're grown up, of course, they're adult characters, but I guess genuinely I feel really bad that the one book I bought was not by a Maltese author, but I'm really excited that Saga was there. As we've said before, I have 4 volumes, and so it was really great to get number 5. And unfortunately, I have not quite gotten there yet, so I can't start reading it on this trip. Which is a shame because, like I said, I had really hoped that I would have had time to make the skirt at least for it, but it is what it is. Guys, it's on the playlist. It's on the third person's playlist. Eat Your Young, literally. Fun fact: Dracula Daily has started, and even though it drags the novel out, I really like it. If you don't know what that is, it takes the chronological dates of the novel because it is kind of like diary entries and gramophone transcripts, and it gives you the chapter on the day that it corresponds to. And specifically this year I'm doing RE Dracula because we're not touching Substack. And for me, one of the joys of it is that it is rife for analysis and also specifically tension. I really like the way it emphasizes the tension. And now that I am catching up with Midst, I am thinking about that more here as well. I do love weekly release schedules. I don't like the binge format of like streaming services. One, because I don't think it's as good for watching with people, and 2, because it kind of kills off the analysis part of fandoms. And there's no problem with Midst in analysis, even though I can't quite catch up with it yet. But binging it, as I am hopefully going to do in order to catch up for next week, kind of emphasizes the pacing, which is not something that I've had the chance to enjoy with this season because I've fallen so far behind. And I'm only kind of realizing now how much of a loss that is, because it is really wonderfully paced. Slightly related to the pacing, that cliffhanger at the end of Tempest was amazing, and I'm really, with this season, with the, is it art direction, is that the correct term? Some of the choices are just gorgeous and so effective that, like I said, the parting shot, the cliffhanger in Tempest, and there was a moment in Fault which just took my breath away, and God, it's amazing. Of course, you can't forget the sound design and all of that either, and it's just, guys, I love this show. I really love this show. there were 19 episodes in the first season, and I believe third person said that's why they went for 19 in the second, and of course we are in the third now, and it's likely also going to be 19, which on a lighter note, I think that means it ends on June 19th, and that's just fun to me. But in terms of the actual vlog, the thing that you're watching, I feel a little bit worse about the saga thing in Malta now, because they had volumes 6 and 7 as well, and I'm not really seeing saga in stores here, and also I think there are more volumes of saga than I have taken into account, so I'm not sure we're going to finish it. We're definitely going to keep going with it. My library also is not great for that. Spaceman Spiff is a Calvin and Hobbes thing, but I don't know where to find those sections. And that is also little. I think Titan Books or maybe Dark Horse Comics have like a new kind of bound version of Calvin and Hobbes out, and I might have a look at that. There was one specific thing that was mentioned, and it was from either the Odyssey or the Iliad, and I have a very bad time keeping those two things separate in my mind. But I think that's probably the only thing that I will be able to cover from start to finish for the vlog, unfortunately. And we're definitely going to give that a try. But I'm pretty sure there was another influence mentioned, and I don't remember what it is. So I think I might have mentioned it in an earlier clip, because I don't know where I put my notes. But I'm going to find it. We're going to see how that works in. Also, sorry about the dimness of the lighting. I didn't quite anticipate how this change would affect the brightness. You know, I didn't really talk about Costigan. I tend to get very one-track minded, so when I hit on, you know, the trust eats its children and kind of the comparisons between Hazel and Seela, and then the girl on the cover, I think her name was Sophie, my brain just kind of stopped, which is not great. But for this bit, I don't know if I described what Saga is actually about, which apologies if I have. Two of the main characters and Hazel's parents, Alana and Marco, are from one side each of a conflict that has been going on for so long, and at some point it got outsourced and outsourced and outsourced. And so even if you're not directly pulled into the vortex of the immediate conflict, people tend to have a side, at least so far. And that having a side just kind of assigned to you according to forces beyond your control kind of really hit me with Costigan. People have called her evil. I'm not going to dispute it. I think even if I had been in a different state of mind, I would be all in on that, because I absolutely hate Imelda Goldfinch. I spoke a little bit about art direction the last time as well, and I think that, and it being in a greenhouse, really kind of made me think of the cluster of ivy that is growing nearby, and just the way that it's choking everything. There used to be honeysuckle there, and it did not survive. And yeah, that's kind of what the trust is, isn't it? It's the ivy, it's choking everything. my good friend Annie here, I have had and have worked on since I was like 16. So, very different body type to what I currently have. I'm not quite sure it's going to go up as high as we need it to, but we're all hope at this point. So the thing is that we might end up having to pad it more than anything else because this is not going to get big enough. I think at this point we're well overdue for me showing you the Midstcore tag. There aren't actually that many in them, and they're not exactly like cohesive pieces. So we'll see what we can do in the time that we've got. Some progress at least, and when I was first considering all of this, the Makeup Brush posted a few looks from Zahir Murad's Spring 2024 collection, and as you can see with like the detailing, it's very couture. And it just really put me in mind of the art from the episode Gala. And I think it would work very well with that aesthetic. Unfortunately, there were a few looks from Zahir Murad's collection that were very inspiring to me, and I was fool enough to throw them into the queue, and they have not posted yet. So I can't show you them, unfortunately. But this is the one that I showed you the very glossy pink fabric. That's for a test version. And we're going to try for a draped skirt inspired by this because I am not we're not at the level of couture. So this one was posted by Foxia and I absolutely love this. It would not at all go with that kind of skirt, but I think that's very gala-ish. It's very trust to me. Obviously, you would string the back with Valor. And I think it's very dramatic. And I like it for that. I think most of the outfits, I feel, especially the more kind of feminine ones in Gala, gave a kind of loose and also structured kind of look. And obviously, I wouldn't really be interested in doing the tight skirt, but it has both of those elements that I think work really well. There's also this Christian Dior one, which was posted by the Haute Couture Lover, and again, I could just see that in Valor across the back. And lastly, because I don't want to risk YouTube pitching a fit over the Miss Sohi look, Lace Tool posted this design by Hasidris, which is one of my favourite designers. And again, it's the lower half that we're looking at. That kind of structured, corseted, but also very, very loose and floaty trousers. I also really love the colour palette in this one, which it doesn't really fit with Gala. It's not pastel enough, but that kind of pinky, purple, and blue, not these shades, but I think they would work. Yes, and obviously, again, the kind of expertise and skill required to actually create that is well beyond me, but I do think I have some hope with the draped skirt, or at least in creating a draped skirt. And I'm very torn about the top because on one hand I really like the idea of a kind of Bardot, Bridget Bardot I think it was, kind of style top, but with trailing sleeves. I also had a look at some of those fantasy detached sleeves, and they are very lovely, but I feel personally that the elastic kind of ruins the look up close, so not quite sure about that. And this, of course, all comes down to budget as well, so we'll see. I did actually stumble upon a spoiler a while ago for this episode. I didn't realise it was coming quite so soon, though. Oh. I haven't started it yet. I'm kind of putting it off, but I did mention pacing before. I think, not having started it yet, but I do think this is good pacing at least. Holy shit. The art, the audio. Holy shit. I mean, like, talk about pacing even just within this one episode. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. No, do you remember Change? Because the focus on Jonas, it is the opposite here. Oh my god, it works so well. So much. I mean, like, I know the art is gorgeous and lovely, but it is also like a podcast. But like the unseen in this, oh my god, it's oh, all the unsaids. Oh my god. You know, I got so sad when I saw that it was the shortest of the videos listed. But man, it doesn't need to be long. It's just like a fucking bullet. Oh my god. And it was perfect having an episode between, enough time to like rack up tension and anticipation. Oh, I can't stop pacing. I can't stop pacing.
That looks like a vertical
Stitch.
dark.
Dark.
And
Yeah.
that looks like a vertical dark.
Okay.
And it looks as if that pleating comes underneath.
Okay.
And that's folded over and then sewn down.
Okay.
And the same, it goes round to here.
Uh-huh.
And it looks as if the fabric comes back over the pleats and gets sewn down.
Okay. Getting way too fucking early in the morning. Calvin and Hobbes have come to the library, which is great. It's not the one I wanted, but to be fair, that wasn't a complete collection either. But we'll see how it goes, because I don't really want to be spending any more money on books. I did renew my subscription of Midst, which I said I wasn't going to do until June, but I love Baron, and I really wanted to have a look at the transcript. And yeah, just, I think you can tell that I got a little bit excited, and in that excitement, I kind of let some of the finer details slip past my notice, but it's a fantastic episode. Now, there's every chance that it might be the I haven't slept and it's 5:30-ness of my brain, but I didn't really understand anything that Mum said in that clip. Like, I know individually what she meant, but like putting it all together is a little bit too much for me right now. We're pretty sure that there isn't a lining on it. And there is a slight hem for the slit, but it's really hard. Did you know you could zoom in on the YouTube app? Because that was fantastic. We did that, we zoomed in, we took screenshots. Obviously there has to be something, but it's too slight a turn to be done with the sewing machine. And you cannot see any trace of stitching, which means it has to be hand stitched, which I've done, not to that quality, but I've done it. It also revealed that there is a waistband, which Mum was very happy to discover because she didn't know how the fabric was sitting otherwise, how it wasn't sliding all over the model skin. And I'm very happy for her. It means, however, that the way I thought it was constructed is wrong. But probably worst of all, because I actually really like that pink linen, that's probably completely out of the picture at this point. And the silks that we have to do the mock-up. And you know I don't like mock-ups anyway, because I don't like, it feels too much like wasting fabric. If I do a mock-up, I try to keep it. But that silk might be too heavy for this. Everything is just going straight in one ear and out the other these days. But this was such a fun episode. I really... Oh, God. It is nice to have a little bit of a lighter episode after the last one. It is nice to have a bit of a lighter episode than the last one. But it is so exciting. It can't, unfortunately, say the same for Saga Volume 4, which is, I did enjoy it, and I think as a, I don't know, 15-ish year old, the high science fantasy marital problems thing was not the most interesting subject to me. But I don't know if 4 stars would be right either. I don't know. There's something about the time skip wasn't the bad thing, and I felt that was handled well, but there's something about it that just wasn't quite working for me. I don't know. It tied up, it continued with all of its threads, and it just wasn't quite there for reasons that I can't articulate. Notably, at the end though, it got really exciting, and again. Oh man, Finn is really cute. I don't and I love his duo with Lark. Not to be a complete sap, but the appendix for Resolve kind of makes me want to cry. While we were looking at the runway, I noticed there are a few folds, especially at the front, and they carry on to the back, but this right here towards the bottom looks more like a waistband to me. Right here, I'm not sure how clear that is. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. It is a little bit funny to me that it took seeing Alana trapped to put things together. Trapped, literally trapped by society, which of course leads to choices and what you make, and when your back is against the wall. I really don't know what to think about poor fucking Dingo, who's probably going to get himself killed. But you can see the desperation, you know. And I really love the emphasis and the focus on the breach this season of Midst. Guys, I'm so worried about Saskia. I think I might have said it before, but I don't know how many of them are going to be making out of this. In better news, both Perdido Street Station and the Calvin and Hobbes book are at the library, and the bad news is I have been stuck in bed for the past few days, and I don't know if that's gonna improve anytime soon, unfortunately. I am really enjoying Calvin and Hobbes like I thought I would. I've seen enough of it, just floating around Tumblr, that I knew I was going to really love it. I was a little bit concerned specifically about Spaceman Spiff, because this isn't like the complete Calvin and Hobbes, which wasn't available at the library. This is just like the essential. And I'm not as much of a completionist as I used to be, but I still like chronology. But it's fine, because there is, surprising to me, amount of Spaceman Spiff so far anyway. Yeah, I was more concerned because I knew it was a popular element, but like, I read the Cruel Prince series, you know, and I loved it, but it's political fantasy, and literally the whole fandom, well, not the whole fandom, most of the fandom only gives a shit about this couple. I didn't even know she had a sister until I actually started reading it. Yeah, so I'm not quite seeing what the influence is, but I really like, in terms of the art, which isn't quite canon, I know, but I really like that both have like bright colours and weird creatures. And I'm trying very hard not to think about similarities between where this season of Midst is going and what happened to several characters I was fond of in Saga. I don't know. There's a lot of people that are probably not going to get a happy ending in Midst. And me being me, I am kind of tallying how many people I think are going to die, and because I'm me, I think I'm overestimating it by a lot. And I'm going to be honest, I just don't want to think about that episode of Midst. Like, I'm trying to be like good at this and talk about things, but all I can think about is, and to be fair, they were very funny with it, but I don't need that in my brain. You know, the one. I will say though, I have found Mock and Saskia compelling from the very first, and I'm trying to concentrate on that. Yeah. We do actually have a plan for the skirt, but yeah, it keeps getting pushed off, and I'm so sorry about that. So not to be a complete sap, but that made me cry. It's such a sweet wee appendix. I do have to say though, given a very sweet thing that was said, I'm kind of terrified. I don't know much about improv or podcasting, but as a writer, I like third person close. I like that it does give you a wider view of the world, but still, it lets you peer into a character. It allows and gives intimacy. And not that this doesn't do that, but I feel like the way that it's set up really, really serves when you have characters that do kind of fucked up things, where it's like, look at these fucked up characters. And I say that, well, I find most fucked up characters to be excellent. But in this instance, I mean more of a what the fuck kind of situation than, oh, there's certainly fucked up shit happening. And I'll definitely have to go over that because my brain just 404'd. It has been days, and I still can't stop thinking about interest in the worst way. But also, there's such a subtle. The subtle isn't quite the right word. Understated, perhaps, off screen dynamic, and I think it would be weaker if it were more in your face, if there were more attention outside of key moments drawn to it. Anyway, I love that, and I think it's my favourite dynamic in the entire series, and I've been thinking about that. I can't stop thinking about that. I can't stop thinking about that, even having been spoiled for the latest what was it, public episode. Listen, I love Chinese Paladin, I love Tragedy. I did not think most of this cast was gonna escape unscathed or even alive, and I love that. I love the tension of that. That character though. But speaking of spoilers, I am going to try and read some of Predator Street Station to not think about, this is I guess vaguely a spoiler, the length of the last two public episodes. Oh, you know, when you see that, you know shit's going down. Good afternoon. We are still quite slow today. We're still quite slow today, and I honestly would have preferred to get a little bit more sleep before doing this, but it's fine. Oh my god. It is not fine. Don't come out, don't come out, don't come out. Nope, nope. Back in, back in. Okay, so we are back, and I just immediately started Calvin and Hobbes right from the beginning again. Yeah, like I said, the Spaceman Spiff bit is not the whole comic, so I don't really have anything to say about that right now. It's also not my favourite bit. I can see why you might be inspired by it, but yeah. I am not going to try and catch up on Midst today, although if possible, and obviously with the knitting, I would like to go back and listen to that first Midst roundtable, just to reaffirm, I guess, which influences were mentioned, if there were any I forgot to jot down. Big focus, however, is I would really, really like to get started on the construction of the skirt. And also, what with this being a vlog kind of detailing the last season of Midst, I didn't want it to be very spoiler heavy. We do actually have a plan for it. I don't think I ever showed you the kind of little demonstration that Mum gave me, just with 2 tissues, and I knew what she was talking about, but I also don't think it's necessarily that clear if you're not also someone who sews. Basically, we're going to put, was it a facing in the waistband type thing to keep it stiff, and so it doesn't, slip. It is silk, it is a slippery fabric, just to keep it in place. And then the outer layer, and so we did see in the photograph that the waistband looked like it was the back facing the back, and that's fine. I still don't know what we're going to do about the turnover. Obviously that needs to be by hand, and that is going to be incredibly labour intensive. We'll see. My hands are not great at the moment, just in general. There's a lot of knuckle pain, and I am, per Patreon's big project, knitting a short film. So because this is the last season that we're kind of following along with in this vlog, I didn't want this video to be spoiler heavy, and we've gone back and forth on that and what to say and do. Like, I understand the spoilers don't ruin things crowd, and I absolutely agree this podcast would not fall apart if you are spoiled, as I keep doing to myself by accident. But it is really spectacular sometimes to go in and just have the experience wash over you. There are a lot of things I'd like to talk about though, and I haven't been able to for that reason. I really hope this, gets people to give it a go, because it's absolutely worth your time. But given that we're not going to get a full, I'll say trustcore sewing project done, I was actually thinking of coming back later, maybe give myself a wee month break or something, and doing the full outfit that I planned, which is the skirt again, but this time with the top and not in a shiny fabric, because I very much think that fabric looks lovely, but I don't think the shine fits with, at least with the arcs for Gala, and I don't love shiny fabrics myself. Mostly I'm keeping the skirt because we do absolutely need to do a mock-up for this. But I don't like throwing away mock-ups. We have a lot of plans for the skirt, honestly. Mum is determined that it would look great in tartan with like a leather bustier, and she's absolutely right. And so I might end up making 3. In the long run, I might end up making 3. But yeah, it depends, because I also want to, like I said, I also want to vlog the comic that's coming out this year, and I think that would be a great project to actually do a Midstcore related sewing thing, by which I mean a leather jacket, which would be absolutely lovely to do. We'll see. Lots of big ideas, not a lot of time management. I know it looks a little bit of a mess right now, and it kind of is. This is the outside, lovely and shiny, and this is the inside, of course, a little bit more matte. We remeasured, and it is about 60 wide, and we only need about 43. I've mentioned a few times that I really love mixed pacing, and I really do, but I don't mean just in terms of story beats. I mean in terms of atmosphere and mood, and you never leave characters behind for too long. I'm trying to be really positive, but it's hard because there were a few lines, both kind of looking back and possibly foreshadowing, that really kind of got to me this episode. It's fantastic. I love it. And the music, always the music, is just wonderful. I've thought this for a while, but I really hope that there's going to be like, maybe not a CD, you know, but I wouldn't mind being able to stream it, you know. Oh, and I also, you know, I love getting a look at what people are wearing, and I just wish that it were a little bit easier on my wallet, you know, because I looked at it and I was like, oh no, more projects. I would really love quite a few of those outfits. No. Oh no. Oh no. We're not done. We're not done with the episode, and I can't sit down. I can't. Oh my god. The oh god. The description of the Kainum, it's just, it was in mock. It just, and the visuals of it, and what Flake said. This is the first time in all 3 seasons I'm not gonna show you the subtitles, but this bit, guys. I just sat down. I just managed to get control of myself. Oh, for that subtitle. What did I tell you about last episode's line? And before I forget, now that it's cut, I'm a little bit concerned that it isn't quite long enough for all of the pleating that we want to do. Draping, whatever the term is, push comes to shove, there is enough fabric left over that if I have completely fucked up, we can try again with this pink. Yeah. Also, because it was 60 wide and I only cut 50 for the skirt, we have more than enough for the internal waistband. You shouldn't be able to see the waistband, but if there is a very unfortunate gust of high wind, this is the outside and this is what you would see. So this is the front of the fabric and this is the back. It's been some hours and I'm mostly sane now. We're still talking about mids, so debatable, but again, I know I keep harping on about this, about the sound design and the music, but I think it also really speaks to a work, especially like an audio work, that really knows when to not do that, when to just be quiet. The waist didn't quite go as big as we needed it to, so we decided to DIY it a little. Even I can't keep track of all the times that I've been sick or unwell, and I think if you'd asked me about 2 months ago if we needed to pad the ass, I might have said yes. I don't think that's going to be the case this time. So we're going to have to even the bottom out, probably. But this is just going to give it a little bit of firmness. You iron it on, but because it's kind of like a waistband, we're going to have to go like an inch or so from the top so that it doesn't get too thick when you're turning it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish more than like a set. I'm really sorry to discuss weight here, but I kind of have to. Like, I really wish more than necessarily like a set weight, that it would just stop fluctuating. Because if we had made this skirt just 2 days ago, it would not fit now. And I'm still being haunted by that last episode of Midst. And I want to go into Trustful, but I really need to get a little bit of the draping done. That said, I don't really think there's going to be much filming because it really is just we're putting a vest on the dummy to kind of flatten it out. And we are going to just be trying to get the folds or the pleats or whatever you want to call them in. And really it's just going to be a lot of faffing. I think we need to rethink the construction of this. Despite talking about doing draping today, Mum told me, oh, I thought you sewed it up first. And we have talked about vertical, but I forgot about that, which means it isn't as simple as just sewing the waistband to the skirt. The construction is a lot different than what I expected. It feels like all my hopes for getting this done in time are plummeting. And speaking of, I don't actually have the words for how amazing a decision I think it is that we have had all of this build up for this episode, and it's not the last one. And I can't wait to see what is going to come next. That description of mock weep just... I put it off because I'm still churning that scene in my head. But I kind of regret not watching it sooner. Because it was so funny and so tense and so cathartic, both as the audience and for some of its characters. So we went to Glasgow today. Long way to go for a spool and 4 hook and eye clasps, which is all I wanted. But we went here because Mum thought that I wanted to do like the more intricate kind of beaded stuff, even though I've made it very clear that I'm absolutely not faffing around with that. But the woman was very, very helpful, and she talked a little bit about sari construction with us, and I'm very grateful. And I've just had an absolutely awful thought. Because I really love the look of the beads, but like I said, I'm not doing that. Even if I wanted to do that, I don't have the skill to do it. It would look awful. But Mum is right in that a hook and clasp, if you can do it, you can do it and have it be invisible. That also requires a lot of skill, more than I probably have. And that's all well and fair. What if I corseted it though? Like, obviously we wouldn't be getting this done in this video, which kind of... what is the point of calling it Midstcore if we don't do the aesthetic thing? But what if I corseted it? Because I think that would be not necessarily simpler, but simple in execution, but also aesthetically look... I don't know. I was just supposed to sit down and watch the last 2 episodes before the finale tomorrow, and then this hit me. And I'm not prepared to deal with this. Not at all. Honestly, I don't mind refunding Mum the cost of the hook and eye, because it's a thing that you just use. You can use it in trousers, it's in tops. It's a thing that's very useful to have on you. The problem with corsets is that they're eyelets, which means you need to do circles, and circles are a pain in the ass to deal with. Because, like, I even hate this. I tried to make a dasher-shan, and I think it still is pretty decent, but like, even just like the curve and I can't deal with it. But it would be so pretty though. And even in the idea that this skirt would be this skirt, and then we do, I don't know, the plain or one in like a linen or a cotton, and have that be like a matching skirt and top. I think the corseted style would be gorgeous in that as well. God damn it. But also I just hate the idea that I spent so much time talking about this and building up the idea of it and then not doing it because it's not done. We haven't made it. So we've just gone to the Midstcore website and I'm looking at the art for the episode and I think this is the episode that's going to make me cry. I'm not saying it's a sad one. You know, it could be cathartic, it could be happy. I have definitely cried laughing. But I do think this is going to get me. And I'm not sure I'm going to have any commentary for it because of that. So what I know about Midst and what I know about Critical Role is that they're not in the UK. So even when it comes midnight here, it isn't, the episode won't become available on YouTube immediately. And there's only, like, this is only going to carry me so far because I know that is a big time difference, but like, I need more. This is so funny. This is so funny. I don't know why it's done this. So it hit me like a brick. And I don't know if this would stand up to any like academic rigor. But like that scene, that last scene in Ghosts with the gothic luxury of it, is kind of, and the themes, and we have, tell me this isn't like a gothic undoubling. Originally the plan was to grab this for the finale, but as we're not pretty in pink, and because that is actually alcoholic, perhaps not this time. Well, to my surprise, we are now at 6:35, and you're slanted. It's fine. The episode is not available on YouTube yet, but I am not patient enough for that. I don't think I said anything about ghosts and the second last episode, Home. No, sorry, that's not. I love the episode titled Ghosts because it is so many kinds of ghosts, and I love the art. It's especially that close up on the lamp. So beautiful. This one was done by Karina Pavlova, and I'm so sorry that I've not been shouting out the artists as we've been going on. Oh, the appendix. It's fantastic in that it's very revealing, and I'm glad to like have some insight into that moment, and also just so emotional as well. And I don't really have anything to say for Home except for the litany of oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. That art was done by Will Kirkby, and it is, oh, I love what the Terror did. Fantastic. We don't have the alcohol or the skirt, but I thought I would try and keep to the gala colour scheme. But I mean, you've seen the wee episode logo thing. Maybe I should have been in morning colours. I don't know anything about this besides that. I don't know the runtime. I'm assuming it's going to be long because I don't know how you could do this in a short way. Well, I mean, I do know, but Third person is always a surprise. Someone on Tumblr very astutely noticed that there was a kind of mirroring between like locations in Trustful and Ghosts and Home. And so I don't quite know how Balance is going to interact with that, because it felt pretty that the last three lined up. Here we go. Oh, it's almost an hour. Oh! Oh no. Because the Wi-Fi is being a bitch, can I just say, and I think I've said this before, but can we please have a merch store here in the UK, and can it please be artwork? Because Frank Leo Massive Mola is just, oh my god, the lines and the light and oh no, I think I'm gonna start crying again. Oh my god, though. You know, I think I will be more coherent later. But I have to, like, the thing that's really sticking with me right now is I remember back when the OA came out, and there were comments in the fandom like, oh, when this theme song came back on in that episode, it made me cry. And I saw that before the episode, and so I was waiting for it, and I did not notice when it played. And I even, it has to be something like a musical, and it has to be like a really obvious callback, or else I just will not notice it. And I don't remember the first and second seasons well enough, but there's a lot. There's quite a few times this season, and especially in this episode, where I recognised the theme and just immediately the tears started. And again, like, not always sad tears, and this is not sad. I think that's a perfect ending, honestly. So, the finale. I was very excited and very nervous, but I trusted a third person because they're excellent creators. And I knew that they cared enough to do it good. Obviously, some hostility from creators is always good towards fandom, but I didn't think it was gonna ruin it, you know? But you want something satisfactory, you want it. I think I was right to be cautious, because you do need something satisfactory for its main characters and its named characters, but there are also a lot of secondary and tertiary characters, and we care about Midst. We care about the people of Stationary Hill, and obviously we weren't going to go into like every single person there, but we needed some sense of closure. And there also had to be an openness to it. This couldn't be like a closed ending, because however this was going to end, it's still just a little place in the middle of a vast cosmos. And so there's no like final hammer coming down. And I think it threaded that beautifully. Genuinely, I don't think I could have asked for a better last episode. And especially because it actually opened up a few, I'm not going to say pathways, but a few questions. Yeah, question seems like a good word. And I think this is the best it could have ended. And obviously, a pre-planned, kind of prepared for ending is better than like being dragged on a shambling zombie of a corpse. But I'm also kind of devastated that it's over. I'm really looking forward to the graphic novel coming out later, but yeah, it's over. Man, what am I supposed to do amongst my Wednesdays now? And speaking of shambling past the point of life, I don't know if there's going to be a Midst Roundtable for the season. I hope that there will be, but I haven't seen any announcements. And I would like to have something to show you in terms of the skirt. I don't have any right now because deadlines. But yeah, we're going to wait for that. And then, like I said, I would like to try the whole outfit. Which, I mean, speaking of like a corseted skirt, I really love fitted clothing. Like even if you like throw a sweater over it, I love fitted clothing. It's just so comfortable. But I'm not like a corset maker, like an actual corset maker in terms of like the top. But you know exactly where I'm going with this, right? So that's probably why I haven't heard any talk of a Midst Roundtable. Deadlines, of which I am both extremely ahead and kind of falling behind. And that's not to say that I secretly finished it and I just didn't have time to film it. We have not finished it. We have not. But I bring up deadlines because you know how it was before Malta. I was making this, and when I finished I didn't have time to like order in the cotton or the linen, and I think we'd at that point decided it was going to be too heavy for those fabrics anyway. And so it was just a question of like, do you think this would be nice? And of course, Mum is always very happy to encourage you for the things that she likes, even though I do not, in the moment, the urgency of like, get it done before the finale passed. It kind of hit me that I don't like shiny. I mean, I knew that anyway, but I hadn't really sat down and faced the extent to which I do not like shiny. Like, I don't like patterns either. And so this is very uncomfortable. You may have noticed this is the outside and this is the outside. And you might be thinking, wouldn't that make the sewing really visible? It would. But I was kind of prepping it to turn it around and seam it that way. That's how we did the dress. It's supposed to be a neater kind of seam. This is how it looks. You iron it flat, and it's supposed to just look much more professional. And I thought, that's the best I can do. I'm not a couturier. And literally, as I was getting everything out today, I was like, I'm not a couturier. Why am I can just do it the quick and easy way. A bit lazy of me, admittedly. But it is also probably better in the sense that this is a bit bulky. And so it might end up looking worse given that it's prominent on the waist. Yeah. It's fine, at least no sewing was actually done. I was looking at this and everything, and I think next year we'll do like the whole 3 series, and do the very heavy spoiler version of this. But it's also, for this, really, we have some thread. I don't think I need to buy any more of that, but we need like the eyelets and the ribbon for the skirt. I don't know if I could do like a cotton or linen version of like the full outfit, because the cost is just a little bit more, especially because I haven't, the library does not have saga volumes, and comics are not really within my budget at the moment, unfortunately. Perdido Street Station, the library has, it's probably still going to have, I have the Odyssey. I have 2 copies of the Odyssey actually, and that might be fun to read both, either back to back or tandem style. I wish I had a more triumphant place to end this on, but I don't, unfortunately. We've got nothing planned for Moonward, except I am so excited about it. Trailer is dropping, the full trailer I think they said is dropping on the 24th, and I do believe it's August when Address Unknown drops, and I do have a little bit of a craft planned for that. This was a bit of a mess, but if there are any other like books or series that you know that have like an extensive list of publicly available and known inspirations, I'd love to do like more extensive kind of vlogs like this. If you like textile stuff, the Patreon on the second Patreon £2 tier, I am knitting a short film as the project for 2024. Thank you for watching. Bye.